Hello, my friends. I don't have much of a voice today, so hang in there with me. Let me just go live on Instagram and then we'll get started. All right, we're live on Instagram and YouTube and Facebook. How are you, my friends? Happy Wednesday. I am recovering from a cold. The end of last week was crazy in our house. Oh my God, I don't even know if I should be going live because I don't know if you can hear me. All right, my mom is in the comments. Minnie, let me know if you can hear me okay or if my voice is difficult to understand because I really don't have much of a voice right now. So, anyways, for those of you have lots shared today, and I'm making a really fun, simple recipe. Um, but for those of you that are new here, welcome. Thank you for being here. My name is Dr. Simran. I'm a triple board certified doctor in internal medicine, hospice, and palliative care, which means I worked with people mostly at the end of life for almost 10 years. And then I'm a lifestyle medicine doctor as well as a health and wellness coach, culinary coach. Honestly, I have like so many titles that I get lost, but really, I am just someone that is super passionate about showing you the little things that we can do in our everyday lives to not just reduce our risk of disease, but really optimize our quality of life and give us the best investment for having a beautiful life going forward, the life that we all want and desire. So thank you for joining me. February is always a special month because it is the month of love, and it is also Heart Month, right? It is the time where everyone's talking about heart health, having how to optimize your metabolic, disease risk factors, your heart disease risk factors, and then also it's Cancer Prevention Month. I'm not a huge fan of the word prevention in general, just because in my career, I had taken care of people who honestly had done everything right, everything that we're supposed to do when it comes to lifestyle and risk reduction. And unfortunately, they got a disease, they still got sick, and so our lifestyle, what I like to say, is really like a seatbelt. It gives you your best chance at reducing your risk of disease, getting sick, and really just keeping a really good quality of life and getting stronger as you age, not weaker, right? And so that's what our lifestyle does. So it's not a guarantee, but you're giving yourself the best chance. And so, I obviously have a very, very I would like to say touching, empowering, powerful personal story as to how I got to lifestyle medicine. Is definitely not something I learned in medical school, although I think things are changing now. So I think it's just important to remember that, everything I'm sharing with you is me walking the talk over the last 10 years. And so one of the things I do every Wednesday, and I know a lot of you guys will come here on Wednesday, so I appreciate you for doing that, is me and my mom actually, she's not here today, but my mom and I actually cook on Wednesdays. My journey to lifestyle medicine, to optimizing my health, really started with, okay, what can I do in the kitchen? What are the foods I'm eating? How can I cook? How can I, all of these little things that we're doing every day that really, I think, helped empower me on my journey. And so now I decided, every Wednesday I come on here, I show you a simple plant-based recipe that you can make that's super easy. And so this today, in honor of Love Month, Heart Health Month, Cancer Risk Reduction Month, one of my favorite ingredients, which you guys know I talk a lot about, is soy. So whole food soy is so great for so many reasons. So we'll talk about that today. If you have any specific questions, please drop them in the chat. If you're new here, welcome. If you join here often, thank you. And please tag your friends. Share this if you find it valuable. I would so appreciate it. So today what we're going to be making, and my kids are going to be so happy when they come home, is a very simple chocolate mousse recipe, and this is the secret ingredient. And every one of my friends or people that have come over that have tried this would have never guessed that the main ingredient in this mousse recipe is tofu. So it's really really easy to make, but also just really very nutrient dense. So if you guys have any questions as I'm chatting, please, please drop them in the chat. I would love to talk with you. Sometimes when I'm talking to myself, I go on these tangents and then it doesn't make sense. So if you're talking to me, then it'll be a better conversation. I don't know if you've ever gone live or just like talk to yourself in a camera. It's very challenging. So yeah, okay. So this recipe is super simple, okay? We don't need a whole lot. And if you want the recipe, once I post this on Facebook or on Instagram after this is over, please just type in chocolate. Okay, type in chocolate in the comments and I will send you the recipe. Now, the thing with this recipe, and this is the way I cook, is you use what you have on hand. There's a lot of ways to make this mousse recipe just using pantry ingredients that you have. Obviously, you need tofu. Now, if you're in a situation where you don't have tofu or for some reason you want to make this recipe soy free, avocado is a great alternative. It makes it just as creamy and smooth and silky. And again, both are great sources of healthy fats. Now, obviously, when you're adding tofu in there, this is now going to be more of a protein packed mousse versus avocado. It doesn't have a whole lot of protein, but it does have healthy fats. So either way, you're probably making a healthier mousse recipe than you would if you were in buying something from the store. All right, I'm gonna take sips as I go along here, just so that I can. Okay, I see you guys putting chocolate in the chat. You don't put it in the chat here because it's gonna be after the live has ended. Then please come back and type in chocolate in the comments, and then it will send it to you. It won't work if you do it right now. So, Minnie is saying, I've been visiting a friend in a long-term care facility, seeing people suffering really makes you realize it's so important to take care of your body. And sometimes it's hard to put into words. And for the longest time, I didn't even share with my mom the things that I was seeing in general in my everyday life because I think my career, because I think for the average person, it's really hard to take all of that in. But if you have someone in your life, or if you yourself are dealing with chronic disease and you slowly see that progression going downhill, and we've been seeing that with our dog lately, although that's more age related, but we are being, as a society, being diagnosed with chronic disease much earlier now. In fact, our children are being diagnosed with I call the silent killers. This is like very upstream things like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, pre-diabetes. You see 10, 11, 12, 13-year-olds being diagnosed with these diseases, even though they're actually not meant to be pediatric diseases. But what happens 10, 20, 30, 40 years after you've been living with high blood pressure, high cholesterol, pre-diabetes, diabetes? That's when the heart attack comes. That's when the stroke comes. That's when the kidneys start failing and now you need dialysis. That's when cancers are diagnosed. It's a stacking effect. It's a stacking effect. And a lot of times, we think, oh, but this person was fine. Yesterday they were fine, and now they're in the hospital with a massive heart attack. I'm here to tell you that that massive heart attack didn't happen overnight. And yes, I'm a genetic mutation carrier, so there is about 5 to 10% of the population who truly has a genetic mutation where their body honestly doesn't have the protective mechanisms, the resilience in place to protect them from certain diseases. But what I can tell you is what I'm sharing with you, 70 to 80% of the diseases that I'm talking about are actually we can reduce our risk of them. We can prevent, well, again, I don't like to use the word prevent, but we can reduce our risks to a massive degree because 70 to 80% of these diseases, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, pre-diabetes, diabetes, insulin resistance, heart disease, Alzheimer's, like a lot of these conditions are lifestyle related conditions for the majority of the population, right? So obviously everything I'm sharing, you have to take in and put in the context of your own life, right? So I'm going on a tangent, but what Minnie is saying. Thanks for the love, 11. I was going to be in Toronto next week and I was really hoping to see you. And I'm really sad now that I'm not coming to Toronto. My plans got canceled. But to my point, like what I saw for 10 years working in hospice and palliative care, watching the sickest people at the end of life and the last several months of life, like our our body, if you don't have the ability to do what you want to do with this body, you are not living anymore. You are just existing. And I can tell you that most of us don't want to just exist. Most of us want to live this life. Most of us want to do the things that bring us joy and be with our families and live out our wildest dreams. But we need this body. And so if you're not putting in the time and effort to take care of this body, it is going to get sick. It is going to get sick. And when you're laying there in a bed, just imagine, like, if you are otherwise fairly healthy, think about the last time you had the flu. I mean, I'm recovering. I'm in good health, but I'm recovering, and it's taking me like 5, 6, 7 days just to recover from a cold. It takes a long time for you to bounce back, right? So now if your body's reserve is lower, you have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, excess weight, heart disease, your body doesn't have the same resilience. It doesn't have the same reserve to bounce back every time there's a new insult. And somebody asked me the other day, what's an acute insult? An acute insult is if your body's already dealing with all sorts of chronic issues, and chronic symptoms also count, right? Brain fog, no energy, like relying on caffeine to survive, not sleeping well, anxiety, depression. Like these are all symptoms where there's a root cause there that's not being addressed, right? But like everything has a stacking effect. So now if you're dealing with multiple chronic issues and then you get hit with a cold, or then you get hit with a pneumonia, or then you get hit with COVID, your body has a very, very small window of, not even window, it has a very small reserve to bounce back. And so over time, what you see is people end up doing this. And that's really what I saw in my career. And every single one of those people just wished, that they could walk to the bathroom, that they could bathe themselves, that they could eat on their own, that they even had an appetite. And so once we start losing our health, we lose it exponentially. And so this is why I'm here. And I know I'm going on a tangent, but this is why I'm here, because I'm so passionate about this one human experience that we've all been given. And I truly believe that we should all, have the ability to live it out to our wildest dreams. Like life is too short to suffer. And so I'm here to show you the ways to take care of this part so that you can go and live the life that you want to live, right? So back to the recipe. So, all right, let's talk a little bit about soy. So what's the deal with soy? Obviously, there's a lot of myths. What I want you to take away, we're not going to go through this in detail today because I've done so many lives and talks and content on soy. But what I want you to take away is that soy, there has been hundreds and hundreds of studies now in humans, and even not just like single studies, what we call meta-analyses, where they're looking at tons of different studies. And so now you're looking at thousands and thousands of people. And what we know is that soy is honestly like a superfood. There are so many benefits to whole sources of soy food. For example, tofu would be considered a minimally processed whole soy food. Edamame, tempeh, miso, soy milk would be considered more of a minimally processed. But like there's so many sources of soy that you can consume. And the beautiful thing about soy, especially if you are mostly plant-based, it is a complete protein. It's a great source of protein. In fact, almost like, I guess it's like each serving size for tofu is about 3 ounces, which is about half a cup. Half a cup of tofu will give you a little over 9 grams of protein and tons of healthy fats. So a cup of protein, a cup of tofu gives you almost 18 grams of protein, which is pretty amazing, right? And the thing about with soy or with tofu is that, Tumi, might have to go put him in his room because he's going to be barking. Can you guys hear him in the background? You guys know that he wasn't feeling so well. If you've been following me, last week was a rough week for us because he wasn't feeling so great. But now he's actually doing much better with medication. So the thing with soy is that you're not just getting protein, you're getting a lot more. So it's like a nutritional powerhouse. You're getting a lot more, a bigger bang for your buck. So you're getting, for half a cup of tofu, you're getting 9 grams of protein, you're getting fiber, you're getting healthy fats, you're getting other things, plant compounds known as isoflavones. And isoflavones are what gives soy its magic, like its secret sauce, magic sauce. Okay, he's distracting me, so I need to put him away. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. Jimmy, stop barking. Stop barking, big boy. All right, he's gonna join us. He's here. Okay, so the isoflavones in soy are what give it its secret sauce. And in studies, the isoflavones are also known as phytoestrogens, are really plant estrogens. Monica saying hi to me. He's looking here. Oh, here he comes. You're going to see him in the background now. Hey, Toomey. There he is. See? He's walking on his own, so I am so grateful. It's definitely my gratitude for the day. He's doing much better. So the isoflavones in soy in human studies have been shown to reduce risk of primary breast cancer, reduce risk of recurrence of breast cancer if you've had cancer, great for heart health, to lower cholesterol, and just in general, just a very great food. It's also very rich in calcium and magnesium. I had preventative mastectomy and hysterectomy in 2020 because I carried the BRCA1 genetic mutation. And so I put myself into premature menopause when I was 32 years old. Now, premature menopause, it was a very difficult decision for me to make because at 32, putting myself into premature menopause also meant that I was increasing my risk of heart disease, increasing my risk of dementia, increasing my risk of osteoporosis. But at the same time, it was like weighing the risks and benefits of like ovarian cancer, and I have a very, very strong family history of breast and ovarian cancer, and then working with really sick people at the end of life, a lot of them with these cancers, was very difficult for me. And so I made the decision to do that with the understanding that, okay, I'm going to be on hormone replacement, but also I have my lifestyle that I'm really going to work hard on to help me continue to reduce my risk of heart disease and brain disease and osteoporosis. So shortly after, I guess a year after I had my surgeries, I actually ended up having a DEXA scan. So a DEXA scan is basically where you can measure your bone density. And unfortunately, what that showed was that I was osteopenic. So not quite at osteoporosis. And osteoporosis is a disease where your bone basically gets very brittle, right? And increases your risk of getting fractures. People with osteoporosis get fractures even if they don't, like they develop something called pathologic fractures. So even if you don't fall or have any trauma, you can still break bones. Like you just become, it's brittle bone disease, right? So anyways, 2 years ago, I had a DEXA scan which showed I was osteopenic, which is just kind of a step below osteoporosis. And there's a lot of different factors that, add to this, but being in menopause, especially premature menopause, can really affect our bone health because estrogen is actually very protective for our bones. And so when we lose estrogen, especially when we get our ovaries out surgically, that can be really tough on our bones. And so I was shown to be osteopenic. Now, part of the other thing is as we get into our 30s, right? So we're building muscle, building muscle, building muscle. And then when we get into our 30s, we actually start losing muscle mass. So we lose about 0.5 to 1% of muscle mass every year. after our mid 30s. And so this can really affect our bone density as well, right? So this is where like strength training and making sure you're getting enough protein and all of those things are really, really important. So, anyways, long story short, I was saying soy is a good source of calcium, and I had my DEXA scan today, and I actually had a full body DEXA scan, and because I really also wanted to measure my muscle mass and my fat mass, not just my bone density. And I'm no longer osteopenic. I'm no longer osteopenic, and I was sitting in my car, and my heart was just so full with gratitude because what you measure, you improve, right? And 2 years ago when I had this DEXA scan, I remember I was so down, like, oh my God, at 34 years old, I have osteopenia. Like, what is life gonna look like at 50? And guys, like, I have seen so many people with osteoporosis. I've seen so many people develop horrible fractures, hip fractures, bone fractures, ended up in bed. And all of these things not just take away from our quality of life, but actually affect our longevity. We die sooner when we get these massive fractures, especially as we age, right? And so our bone health, our muscle health is extremely, extremely important for longevity and for quality of life, right? So I was so just terrified like 2 years ago. Like, I already have osteopenia, like, what the heck? And that's when I like really decided, like, okay, strength training, really the only one thing that has been shown to be amazing for bone health, one, to preserve your bone density and or to build bone density, is strength training. And it makes your bones stronger, and one of the ways it does that is the more muscle mass you have, the more protective it is for your bones, right? So I just really said, okay, I'm going to be strength training. I am committing. My battery's about to die, so of course I'm going to go get my charger, and then I'm going to finish the story. I'll be right back. Clearly, I don't have a production team here. It's just me in my kitchen. All right. So, anyways, so committed to strength training, like hardcore, right? Committed to eating well and doing all these things the last 2 years. And, I got another DEXA scan this morning, which showed that I am no longer in the osteopenic range, which is like a T score of like minus 1.8, which is what it was 2 years ago. And today it was minus 0.3, which is like amazing. I was so happy. Called my husband, because like these numbers, right? What you measure, you improve. Like, these numbers are affirmation that what you're doing is working. So if you don't measure where you started, and then a year later, like, you have nothing to go off of. So aside from how you're feeling and like all of that, getting more energy, all of that kind of stuff, when you're making these changes in your life, it's important to get the testing to go along with it, right? So whether that's measuring your waist circumference, measuring your other body, area circumference, taking photos of yourself in the mirror, getting blood work, getting, testing like a DEXA scan if it's appropriate for you, especially if you're in menopause. Ladies, please, like, if you're in menopause, right? It's Cancer Prevention Month. Like, make the appointment, get your mammogram, get your colonoscopy if it's age appropriate. If you're in that window, now is the time, because prevention, we've all heard it, is worth, much more than a cure, right? So do what you need to do, but measure it, measure it. And so now I'm basically, the feedback I got was like, okay, we need to increase more muscle mass. And the way we're going to do that is, and get the bone density in a little bit of a better optimal range. And so the way we're going to do that is to optimize more strength training, more protein, all of that. So that's what that's going to be my goal this year. If you guys followed me earlier, I think I talked about like sleep this year. That's my number one priority. And then number two is really continuing to work on my muscle mass, my bone density. So I'm probably going to look to work with a personal trainer for a little while to help me figure out what makes most sense for me. So if you've worked with a personal trainer, let me know. Thank you guys so much for all the love in the comments. I appreciate you so much. And I know I've been on a rant here. So let me show you what else we're putting in here. So okay, so we talked about soy, great for especially breast health, great for menopause as well. It is one of the first foods that I would recommend, like if you are someone that's having vasomotor symptoms of menopause or perimenopause. So those are things like hot flashes, night sweats, like symptoms like that, like soy has actually shown to not just reduce the frequency, but also the duration of these vasomotor symptoms. So highly recommend there. Heart health we talked about. It's great for cholesterol, great for blood pressure. If you're someone that's mostly plant-based or trying to add in more plants, looking for a good, complete protein source, soy is great. So I usually have about 2 to 3 servings a day in many different forms. So, if I drink coffee like I'm drinking right now, I make it with soy milk. So a cup of unsweetened soy milk, is 7, 8 grams of protein. I told you half a cup of tofu is 9 grams of protein. So very easily you can get to that 30 to 40 gram protein mark that you're trying to get at per meal. So that's my goal, like between 30 to 35 grams of protein per meal. And I eat 3 meals a day. And then in between, I'll have a snack. Um, one of the soy-based snacks that I love is actually dry roasted edamame. So if I don't have time to boil frozen edamame, I'll get these. These are from Sea Point Farms, which are amazing. So this is literally a 1 ounce packet, and it just has soybeans and sea salt. And this 1 ounce packet, or 22 grams, is 10 grams of protein. Like, it's pretty phenomenal. So if you're looking for a protein, fiber rich, vitamin, mineral rich snack, these are amazing. Dry roasted edamame. Highly, highly recommend those. And you can get those on like on Amazon. You can get them at the grocery store. They're not that difficult to find. Do you guys have any other questions about soy in general? Can you give me a link? Yes, if you comment I'll share the link on my stories, because there's too many links to share. I'll share the link on my stories for this. If you're interested, go to my Instagram stories and you'll find it there. Now, we put the tofu in here. Let's get back to this recipe. We put the tofu in here. Then the next thing is we're going to use chocolate. Now, you could just use dark chocolate. The chocolate I'm actually going to use is this one. I don't have any relationship with this company yet. I hope so one day. But it's called Blue Stripes. And the beautiful thing about this chocolate is that they use the whole cocoa pod, which is amazing, because that means now it's less processed. You're getting more fiber and more of the vitamins and minerals of the whole cocoa bean. So that's what we're using. And it has 70% cacao, which is like the bare minimum I would recommend. If you're buying a chocolate, you want to go for 70% or above. All right, so I already melted my chocolate, so we'll go ahead and put that in here. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Happy to address them. I know you guys are just giving me lots of love, and I appreciate that. All right, so then what we're going to do is we'll throw a pinch of sea salt in here. One of the things that you actually could use, one of the things that actually makes chocolate taste more chocolatey is actually coffee. So you can put instant coffee or espresso powder in this, and it'll make it like more chocolatey and more rich. Now, I'm not going to put this in here because my kids are going to eat this, so I don't want them to have any caffeine. But I really like this brand. Sorry, I'm showing you all my favorite brands. So Four Sigmatic is a great brand that has instant coffee. They also have some great herbal teas and stuff, but the cool thing about this one is that they have adaptogens in them. So they make their coffee with different types of mushrooms, which is great. All right, so we're gonna put a dash of sea salt, which we did. Then what I'm gonna do is add some cocoa powder. Um, so we have 2 tablespoons of cocoa powder. Okay, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna add some vanilla extract. I'm trying to keep track of you guys as well. So share any questions you have in the comments. But yeah, this is super easy, and the nice thing is this is a great recipe that'll make you a blender full of mousse, and it's like really nice to serve at like a for a gathering. Um, we actually got these cups from my father-in-law's house after he passed away, and my husband grew up with these glasses, and they preserved them so beautifully, but they make the best mousse cups. So I usually put them in this, put them on a tray, and then when you're hosting or having a party, you just take them out and everyone has like their little mousse cups, which is awesome. So other things you can do with this, if you want a little bit more sweetness, I usually either put maple syrup, which I'm not going to because the honestly the chocolate is going to be enough for us. But if you wanted it to be a little bit more sweet, you can add some maple syrup, or you could add some date syrup, which usually if you get it from the store is just made from pure dates. Or you could put whole dates in here. So you can boil some water, soak the dates. I was going to do it and I ran out of time. You can soak the dates, boil them. Once they're softened, you just add them to the blender, and actually then it'll be like a caramel chocolate mousse. Really good. Actually, I took my dates out here. So yeah, that's one option too. That would be great. Now, the other great thing about a mousse like this is if you are going to eat it like after a meal or if you're going to eat it as a snack, you could also make this super high protein on top of the tofu. So obviously we put 1 block of tofu in here, which is going to be, around like around 40, 50, let me see here, around 40, 50 grams of protein, I think, right? Let's see. Yeah, so 1 block of tofu is going to be around 50 grams of protein, but then you're going to split it up into multiple cups. So if you want to give it a higher protein boost, you could add protein to it, like a protein powder. So this is my protein powder that I use from Prolon. It's called L Protein. It has 25 grams of protein in the packet. And then you have hemp seeds. Hemp seeds are a great source of omega-3, omega-6, and if you put 3 tablespoons of hemp seeds, that's an additional 10 grams of protein. So you could easily, in a blender full like this, put six tablespoons of hemp seeds. That's an extra. That's an extra 20 grams of protein. So, and then also more healthy fats. So, look, like if your kids don't like to eat the stuff you give them, I promise you they will eat this. So if you make something like this for them, they will eat it. Flaxseed, again, healthy fats, but also a great source of fiber. So you can sneak this in anywhere. It has honestly, it has a nutty taste, so kids honestly won't know about it. All right, what other questions do you guys have? I think I talked about everything I wanted to. I'm going to put this in here, just a little bit of milk. You don't want to add, you could also add water, but you don't want to add too much because you want the mousse to be kind of thick, right? So we'll see how this goes. All right, so I'm gonna see if I can mute myself so that you guys don't have to hear the noise. Send me some questions if you have any. All right, and we're done. So you see, maybe you can't see how creamy it is, but so, I mean, my kids are gonna love this. So it's kind of, you kind of see it has like that moussey consistency. It's kind of bouncy. And then when you keep it in the fridge for a bit, it'll get even better. So that's it, guys. That's all I have for you today. I know I went on tangents, but if you've been around me for a while, you know that's what I do. I just have a lot to share, a lot to talk about. Um, oh no, this sucks. Anyways, all right. Well, I don't have anything else for you guys, so I would love to stay connected with you. Please come follow me. If you love this, you want more content like this, come follow me. I'm on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube. Um, and yeah, I mean, today is what day? Today is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Day 5 of my Feel Great Challenge that I started this month. We have a great community. It has been absolutely amazing to see the commitment that so many of these people are bringing for their health and for vitality, and the way that they're supporting each other in the group. And so today, our micro habit is write down 3 things that you're grateful for. I am grateful for the ability to use my voice, even when I don't have one, to share all this knowledge, to empower you, to guide you, to coach you, and just to say that there is so much more in your control than you have been led to believe to improve your health. And if you woke up alive today, if you're here, if you're listening to this, it is possible for you. I believe in you. So please keep going. Number 2, I am grateful for my consistency and my commitment to myself. 2 years later, I went from being, on the verge of having frail, broken bones to going back to having stronger bone density. We have more to go, but there's always a next level, right? There's always the 2 millimeter shift to the next best version of you. So I'm still going to keep going, committing to myself. And then number 3, honestly, I'm just grateful for life. And it is honestly a gift. And I'm reminded of that every day. So thank you for being here. Thank you for joining. I appreciate you. Comment, what did I say? Chocolate, if you want the recipe for this tofu mousse. And then I'll share, if you guys want the links to all this stuff, I will share it in my Instagram stories. So please pop on my Instagram stories and I'll share all the links there for you. Okay? Bye, guys. Have a great day.